Buddy. Um, so you might have been expecting me to play some Yigra or some updated Soul Trader, like I was mentioning I was going to work on last night. An update to that. I spent a long time on Yigra and Soul Trader yesterday, and I just really couldn't find a big update or a version of Yigra, a big update to Soul Trader or a version of Yigra I even liked. So we're starting with this instead. It's something I've been messing with for a little bit. You might remember this Dimir Wan Shi Tong Field of Ruin shell from earlier in the Avatar season. This is a deck I like. This is a deck that we were doing well with, and this is a update to that build. It's kind of a big and bold update here. We're not playing Psychic Frog in our Dimir deck. Psychic Frog, obviously, a very good modern card, but there was two big problems with Psychic Frog. One, it was a sorcery speed card in a deck that's otherwise playing entirely at instant speed, and the power level of specifically this deck is so sick when on turn two you just have Counterspell, Bowmaster, Edict, Fatal Push, Snare, Pierce, Cling to Dust, Wand. You can have any of these cards up. I guess technically also the Subtlety Consult. Your opponent has to play around literally your entire deck on turn two. And then Psychic Frog is just so tough because you have to play it turn two, and all of a sudden it's weird because it is a lot of times your best turn two play, but your turn twos are just so versatile and hard to play around when you just don't play it. So that's one thing. The second thing is Psychic Frog was also very tough on the mana. This is a deck that wants to play a good bit of Field of Ruins. To enable Wan Shi Tong. And Field of Ruins also just good in the metagame right now. There's just a lot of Tron. I think it's a good tool to have for a deck like this. But needing blue and blue black on turn two is awkward. Blue is a lot easier to enable because we're playing a lot of basic islands. Playing the basic swamp was awkward in a deck that's playing Counterspell and Wand, so it's you just have that seventh a land that doesn't have for Counterspell is pretty awkward. But in this build, just having 18 blue sources just is a lot. It's a good degree smoother. Not knowing that you only need blue on two, you don't need blue black on two for all these is kind of nice. Although you do still need black to cast Bowmaster, Edict, Cling, but sometimes you have Watery Grave, Field to cast these. The tension of these is a little bit lower. It's not the biggest thing ever, the blue black on two, but we did lose a good bit of games just because we just have Island, Field of Ruin. not that wouldn't help hurt a little bit with our other draws. Anyways, so I in testing so far, I've really liked just the entirely instant speed plan game one. It's very hard to play against. You are very versatile. You have a lot of card draw between Consult and Wan Shi Tong. You can tap out for Cling to Dust too. Turn two is very strong, and also turn four where you just have one draw a card or hard cast Subtlety up or kick the Consult up, and all of this has just been very nice. And so I think we're gonna get going here in a second. I changed the sideboard a little bit. I ended up going up a dispute. Sometimes it's tough because my sideboard was different from this. I had the fourth snare on the board. I had a Bloodchief's Thirst. And then it ended up becoming more similar to what we had initially, I think. But sometimes I have a hard time remembering how it kind of morphed back. I feel like I want one swamp. So I was very, very back and forth on one swamp versus zero swamps. And then I added Logic Knot as the 9th blue on two spell. And I just decided to kind of have a is it Murktide philosophy? If you remember, is it Murktide? Sorry, of course you remember, is it Demir Frog on stream today? But I have been liking this build, and this is a build we've had success with on stream, and is one I want to keep working on. I do think that finding the balance in the mana base has been an interesting journey. All right, puts on a mold of 6. Vista, so Brood Scale maybe. I think we can get basic island here pretty comfortably. Ghost Quarter, so they got Ice still in their deck. They rumble over Fleshraker or Beseiju. They choose Beseiju instead of the Fleshraker, which is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and Bowmaster their spawn. And they don't deny my Orc army. Kind of an easy mistake to make on their part. Memory Deluge too expensive. Consult is mostly just better than Memory Deluge, I guess. All right, so if I see a land on top, I'm not going to do anything, so I can keep the kick consult up. But if I don't see a land, I'll try to consult into a land. Okay, nice, perfect. And this is just what I love about the draw go, just keeping it draw go. Like, I have Wand draw card, consult, kick consult, hardcast subtlety up. It's just like, this is just such a deadly situation they're under. You need X playing Bellion? I don't even know what Bellion is, dude. But I can read it. Was this the deck you're playing Slither-Wisp in? That was an Esper Aang deck. I still do like Aang a lot. I've been for a long time now actually. I've been working on a I've been working on an Aang Aether Vial deck. I can't figure it out. I cannot figure it out, but I really want to Aether Vial Aang in. Oh, Hydro Man. Yeah, I don't know. We played against that card the other day. It's not like the worst card ever, but I haven't necessarily been like impressed by it. Kind of just not really a believer. Well, they hit a Brood Scale. Hard not to use a subtlety here. Aether Vial core tapping. I don't know if we would need to core tap. It's only a 3-drop. Oh, you probably mean I think this is the problem with every legendary creature in the set having another version of it. I say I wouldn't play Aether Vial Aang, and everyone thinks I'm talking about this 5-drop. The worst part of Universe is Beyond. Maybe not the worst. No, I might not subtlety this next Brood Scale. Maybe I'll evoke subtlety. Just so I have Counterspell up. I think that makes sense. Yeah, they're just at 2. Let's just keep the Counterspell up. Okay. So up a game against Brood Scale. Get to bring in the Consigns. Do I want Damnation? Do I want Explosives? I could see maybe the first Explosives being fine. I think I'd like to cuddle the Bowmaster. Probably down at least 1 Cling, if not 2 Cling. Cling kind of always... I think the first Cling's kind of always good. I think we'll keep Spell Piercing against the K Command, Rumble, Ancient Stirrings, Blade deck. Seems pretty good. So 1 Explosives I'm into, and then we could play 2 Explosives. We could play second Cling. We could play first Damnation. I don't think I want to play the first Damnation. I think we'll play second Explosives. Be a little bit more resilient against Urza Saga. At least there's flavor in Avatar opposed to Spider-Man. Yeah, it is kind of cool to see the journey of Aang's journey or whatever. But I do still think it's kind of overly confusing. Wan Shi Tong with Wan Shi Tong and Bowmasters, Days Undoing or Wheels would be fun. So Days Undoing doesn't work with Bowmaster. It ends the turn, so you don't get the triggers. But I do agree that okay, they hit a cavern, so we're gonna want to use our counterspell aggressively on non-Eldrazi spells. Drawing second counterspell, not necessarily the best. All right, we get to Surveil. Looking for a land, maybe an explosives. Consign does seem like a nice tool to have here. Okay, I think I'm going to keep the Consign with the thought that I'm going to try to use this Consult to draw a land. Possibly not the right move. They boldly fetch into a possible Wan. Interesting that they would just fetch main phase like this, when it's like kind of the worst possible way, whatever. Alright, we do hit a land. We find a Consign. So do I think that they've boarded in Pithing Needle? I think it would be very unlikely. I don't think I need to fetch in response because there's a good chance I want to surveil. Might have been good to consign the saga generating chapter this game. Or the token generating chapter, not sure. Let's go ahead and surveil first. If we see explosives on top. Oh, I guess actually if we see explosives on top, we can't use it because of the Vexing Bauble. So I guess we'll just Fatal Push. Could deal with a 2/2 for a little bit. Alright, no 1-drop for me to Spell Pierce or Consign. Draw go. Yeah, I just wanted to have the Counterspell up because we know they have Cavern in their hand, so I feel like I just wanted to be able to use it on any non-creature spell there. Rob with the 45 months, thank you, welcome back. So they name Eldrazi. Is this a Myco spawn? It is a Myco spawn. Alright, seems like we want to Edict the Myco spawn since it's a 3/3 and this is a 2/2, although this could obviously get bigger. Ah, no attacks. Maybe they thought I was going to kill the Construct. Might get soloed by the Cavern here, honestly, with me having double Counterspell, Consign in my hand. Although we do have a bunch of Field Ruins in the deck, I guess that could answer it. Another Urza Saga, though, probably means that the Field of Ruin needs to go there first. They have 5 cards in their hand also. They just passed the turn. Let's go and get a tapped Watery Grave. Hopefully they K-command into my Spell Pierce. Okay, I found the Field of Ruin. So let's go upkeep Field of Ruin. Although, I guess we could consign this Urza Saga chapter to deal with it, and then we could go field this, consign, hold up Counterspell. So let's see if they K command first, because that's going to tax my mana potentially. Holding this for Emrakul also feels kind of important. All right, so let's go. Yeah, let's go draw step, field the Urza Saga, I think. Do I not understand Consign? Because you not replicate to counter the trigger the creature. So the problem is my opponent had Cavern of Souls to make the Myco spawn uncounterable. So we couldn't have done it that turn. But in general, you can, yes. Big fan of that line. Yeah, I think it's pretty close. One problem too is I've already been okay. Now I've consigned for this saga, thankfully. But I think it's close. I guess one thing too is like maybe my attitude of saving Consign for Emrakul is wrong because if Emrakul resolves, I can't beat it unless I draw a Sheoldred's Edict. Okay, so we're gonna consign the saga chapter now. Then I do really like having drawn this consult. Although I guess one big problem with this consult is if my opponent is sitting on a K command, which it kind of seems like they might be, we can't kick the consult and okay, they're just gonna Emrakul me this turn. Urza Saga, Capicator, the main reason for Damnation over Deluge. Yeah. Alright, so they have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. Emrakul costs 10, 11, 12. So they're 1 away from Emrakul. I think I need to kick this consult, and then if they have okay, nice. Do I want the Fatal Push? If they have the Emrakul, they have the Emrakul. No, Fatal Push. I think I have to take second consult over the Emrakul. Maybe that's a little bit marginal. I think they probably have 1 more or 0 more basics, right? Oh my gosh, I meant to target the cavern. Oh no. Sorry, just bad brain fart there. It's not like the worst ever, honestly, but do think it was a mistake. It isn't working out really well if they just don't have another basic and we keep them off Emrakul for another turn. Yeah, sorry. We're getting Emrakul this turn. Sorry, just silly misclick. So see if I find Sheoldred's Edict here. I do find Sheoldred's Edict. So we might be in an okay spot. So we should evoke this into the Vexing Bauble so they can't evoke just better. Then let this resolve. Sheoldred's Edict the Emrakul. And then we do have a lot of draws that they just can't really do much with. You can subtlety it. Well, subtletying it isn't like a good plan exactly, I think. I guess maybe it is a plan. Okay, nice. So Counterspell, not something they can do anything with. Play to your outs even after you make a mistake. So yeah, they can Field of Ruin if they want, but they can't Field of Ruin me, and if they Field of Ruin themselves, they probably don't have another basic. They might want to Field of Ruin an Eldrazi Temple just to make sure their stuff is uncounterable, so I can't Field of Ruin their Cavern like I meant to last turn. So yeah, so they don't do that. Interesting. So I guess let's go 2-2-1. I'm gonna Maid Phase this so they can't like draw step, draw a K command that I can't counter. This is probably they probably don't have another basic for whatever that's worth. But they still have to search, even though they don't have another basics because it's Field of Ruin and not Demolition Field. So really not in that bad shape, honestly, despite getting Promise Ended here. Promise Ended was kind of just let me draw a card. I mean, I had to pitch the Subtlety. Couldn't they just counter the counterspell? Couldn't they just counter the counterspell? Well, there was no way for them to put a spell on the stack that game, or that turn rather. They have another Emrakul. Another Emrakul would make sense. You can't just put counterspell on the stack without a spell there. That's why I evoked the Subtlety. So there was just no way they could. Surprised Tommy didn't make a deck. I've just been really enjoying the dynamic of I think I'm gonna cast Counterspell here. I've been enjoying the dynamic a lot of okay, then they sack the Vexing Bubble. Weird. The dynamic of just draw go. That's the fourth Urza Saga there. So I do like Tabio, I do like Frog, but this is just I've been really liking how this has been playing, so it's kind of a weird build, I understand. So I guess we'll block the Brood Scale if they want to adapt to trade, they can. Although they have an Urza Saga coming down in theory. We get to draw a card off the Urza Saga. I'm going to counterspell this. Don't want them to find an Emrakul off of it. Want to use my counterspells anyways. Alright, so they don't make an attack. Pretty big draw step for us. Explosives would be good. Demolition Field's pretty good. We're not going to get to draw off the one. Unless they make a mistake. So I do have 2 explosives in the deck. How many? I have a lot of wands left. I have 3 wands. I have 2 consult the start charts, or 1 left. I see 1, 2. I see 3 of the arts. Only 1 left. 1 left. And then they should be attacking with this Brood Scale like 100%. They play a dead Prismatic Vista. Worse than dead. It's like pay 1 life. I draw a card. Okay, now we're beating a top deck Emrakul, which is nice. Yeah, Cling. They did board down to 1 Cling. It's pretty unfortunate that they're playing around Spell Pierce this hard. They played around it now twice with the K command. I don't feel like we've really telegraphed it very hard. Maybe it's just free to play around. Ah! I only have 1 field left in the deck. I guess Cling to Dust would be good, of course. Cling to Dust or Field, or Consult into some combination of this. Okay, maybe we want to have second Cling for game 3. It stinks too because they're not identifying that they had a really good Brood Scale attack, but we just lose to this top deck. Was it Pierce in my hand when they mind savered me? It wasn't, no. In my hand was counterspell, counterspell, and I drew Pierce after the I pitched Pierce to Subtlety, so they would have seen a Pierce there. That's true. But it wasn't in our hand when they Emrakuled me, because I pitched the one that we did have to the Subtlety. Okay, so the explosives are looking kind of tough against Vexing Bauble specifically. Where if I'm wanting to explosives on 0 to kill the Urza Saga tokens, the fact that they are pretty aggressively getting the Vexing Bauble is kind of tough. So maybe I just want to play one less. We also have the fields for the sagas. Wan Shi Tong is going to contain the tokens a lot of the time, especially because the saga grows the wands. Let's do this. We can consign the saga trigger. Maybe they're playing around Sega 1. I mean, I guess so, but I feel like it still would have been a good attack. I don't think you want Damnation in this matchup, because like, it's just so hard for them to have more than one threat in play at a time, but I could be wrong about that. Field lets you cast E through bubble. Okay. That's true. You know, my opponent also like fetched weirdly to play around a wand that like wasn't in my hand. I think I might even. Not that I think they're probably ghosting, but the fact that they played so hard around the Spell Pierce when it was it's like we tapped out of Spell Pierce, so it's not like they had the K command to play it when we tapped out, and then they played around it when it was in the hand, and then they also just like fetched main phase, which was like not the right play against a wand. So not that I think my opponent is necessarily ghosting, but that just might be enough like for me to hold this up here. Not sure. Sometimes I see things. Is Just Down still playable? I know that used to be pretty preferred option for blue decks against Saga. Yeah, you can still play it. One thing is there's not too many just like kind of value Saga decks like this. It's mostly an Affinity and Titan, although it's good against Titan. And it mostly just goes to Saga tokens against Affinity. I guess it can be okay against Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah, I'm probably just feeling a little bit of paranoia here, but feels okay to just protect the integrity of the game a little bit, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and play out the wand. Yeah, I hope they feel welcome to. Again, I think they're probably not ghosting, but I think it was just enough. Like they're enough of them playing really well around my hand that I want to just make sure that we have the integrity of the match preserved here. I want to get the stream off to a good start. So they have 2 more basics in their deck. Their Visas have got to feel so bad because obviously they trigger the wand, but they also like yeah, I gotta kind of spell this. They trigger the wand, but they also like get a basic out of the deck when I've got all these fields. Thanks, Conglomerates. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. Another Saga. At least he's draw cards off the wand. So they're going to be dying pretty quick here. They did keep the brood scale on the top. Thanks, body bag. I feel like every time I see your username, I think of the Karate Kid scene. Put him in a body bag. So many lands sad. We need lands to cast our spells. I think I like them making another Saga token. I know Red Black Viper got cut a bit short. Do you think you're going to play in a challenge this week? It's on the list. I think possibly. All right, totally fine with them needling Flooded Strand here. They name Field of Ruin instead. That makes more sense. Sorry, I guess I messed up because I forgot I had Sheoldred's Edict, so I thought it was just going to be kind of free to do this. I think we'll trade the one instead of trying to just fatal push the one it blocked. Maybe that's wrong too, but I think it makes sense with what's in my hand. I have a lot more wands to draw into also. But actually, I just forgot I couldn't Sheoldred's Edicts because they have the spawn token. Okay, I love seeing that on top. So they've got a Brood Scale in their hand. Their Emrakul is costing them 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 mana. So they have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they're a couple away. That's exactly where it comes from. I'm old enough to watch this cinema. Nice. I think we'll be okay this game. Yeah, I know I missed out on the 2-turn clock. Maybe it was the wrong direction. I just feel like I'm winning this grindier game too. And I'm like still winning the race, but I agree it's kind of a tough call. So they've got 3, 4, 5, 6. So did they hit their land? Yeah, they played the Ghost Quarter. So maybe I want to Edict now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Esther and I have been a little sick. Esther's been more sick than me. I was up all night taking care of her. I felt a sneeze coming. It might still come. We're let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so Edicting now stops Eldrazi Temple into Emrakul, and I don't really think that we're gonna need. I guess if they have Cavern, we could get punished for using this Edict, but I think it'll be okay. Wow, they sacrifice the construct instead of the spawn token. So yeah, we're gonna keep this for the 2-turn clock. And then I'm gonna draw and I'm gonna say go. Lore and PowerPoint this weekend. I'll get started on it this weekend for sure. I'd like to have it done by this weekend. It seems likely that I can. I have a much less busy weekend this weekend than last weekend. But as always, it just kind of depends. Sometimes I just can't get it done. Okay, we win this match. Yeah, I just have been really loving the draw go play style with this build, and I think that I guess Kling is also kind of like that modal 1-drops or modal 0 to 2-drops, in addition to being good 4-drops. Last seen 15 days ago playing Dimir Mill. Mill matchup is probably okay, I guess. Not that I ever really like playing against Mill. One thing also about Mill is Mill players never play anything besides Mill. When I first discovered Spike Anuma as a blue-white control player, yeah, when at the beginning of the stream, I was definitely like, you know, like every streamer who starts playing Modern, they're a control player, and I was definitely playing a lot of different control decks. Although I guess maybe at the very beginning, that was less true, and I played a lot of Jund. I started streaming during the come on, dude, the MH3 era and or sorry, MH1 era, and they have Surgical, the MH1 era, and like just like brewing a lot of MH1 decks. And I remember like I was one of the first people to put Red and 6 in Jund, and I guess like every stream I was new to streaming, and everyone's like, is Red and 6 really better than Dark Confidant? I'd get asked like 10 times a day. So it seems like they've got Surgical. And they correctly Surgical my Wan. Yeah, we had 3 mana Chandra. Classic. Did I consider Archmage's Charm? I think with all the fields, you can't really play Archmage's Charm. I have been wondering how good Charm is, though. Like, in the Boros Prowess meta, it seems potentially pretty solid. Not, like, really bad against any of the other decks, probably. I wish we had a full-on Walker list that was solid in Modern. Yeah. We had that really cool, like when Simian Spirit Guide was legal, we just like were powering out War of the Spark Planeswalkers really hard. All right, so now I've got to win with these Bowmasters. If Bowmaster gets Surgical, I guess it's Ogre. But like in Charm and Belcher as 1 and 2, and Belcher seems pretty cool. That dude is definitely stream sniper, right? No, I think that I would think if I was in their position, surgicaling. I would think if I was in their position, surgicaling the wand would make a lot of sense, especially if they just have only fetch lands. They got 3 cards left. I got 32 cards in my deck. Oh, I forgot I have subtleties also to possibly attack with. Of course. Let's see what we draw. Do I want... I think I'm just going to main phase this looking for Fatal Push. Maybe it's a little bit aggressive, but I feel like it's just so important to push this crab right now. Yeah, they saw my hand with the first surgical. All right, they cycle this, which triggers the Bowmaster. I have 3 Clings in my deck. I haven't milled 1 in 21 cards. A little bit unlucky, I guess. They missed their land drop, but we draw a Counterspell, which is great. When we use our Logic Knot, we're going to want to exile a lot of our cards. I guess I'm going to exile... I guess definitely all my creatures. My Counterspells. I guess I only have 1 Fatal Push left. I guess I should just exile all of my spells. Because of Surgical. Oh, I have all 4 Fatal Pushes gone. And then that should be fine for like the 1 mana draw 3. Although I guess I wouldn't hate them using the 1 mana draw 3. I think it's kind of cool to clean up the graveyard a little bit against Mill. I'm not going to crack this fetch under any circumstance, so we'll just attack here. So we hit them for 3 down to 5. If they cast another Tasha's, they go down to 4, so not quite in Bowmaster range. Although they just pass. Good news. Big draw step for me. Not the biggest draw. Yeah, Logic Knot has a lot of advantages over Counterspell. Like, just it's good, it's better against Snare, better against Mill. Again, I think that there's like 1 more, right? I guess it used to be like if you had Shark Typhoon in play, it was awesome. So there's a Field of Ruin to maybe unlock like Fatal Push. Maybe they have double Archive Trap. I must search. I think I'm just gonna leave a land in the deck though. So they pass after the mana's floated here. We beat Push and we beat Drown, so we really only lose to double Archive Trap, right? No, so I guess sorry, they can push by 2/2 and then just not tap the Coliseum. But they can't. The Drown doesn't win the game for them. So top deck Bowmaster wins. Nice. Yeah, worse for Scatic Teague. Obviously worse against Graveyard Hate. Worse if you don't have enough cards in your exile or discard. But in this deck, it's pretty free. I guess we also have to Cling to Dusts, but I think it's okay. All right, so I'll bring in the Disputes. We'll bring in the Force. I think I like Graveyard Trespasser. Maybe I don't want the full 4. I think I don't like Consult the Star Charts. I don't like the Subtlety so much either. I think I'll go like -2 Subtlety, -3 Consults, and then play 62. Maybe I guess we'll do 2 Consults, 63 on the draw. Seems fine. Yeah, I agree. Trespasser is really good. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I love it can Spell Pierce on the draw against Mill. So I can fetch Watery Grave and then Spell Pierce and Archive Trap. Explosives has to be better than Edicts. Possibly. Like, Edict is better if they only have 1 crab. Edict lets you play more of a draw go game plan, which again is the game plan today. They only have 8 crabs. I think I like having the Edicts, honestly. Just like 7 removal spells against their 8 creatures. It could also play, like sometimes they play planeswalkers too. I could be wrong. The snares are also not amazing. They mostly just hit drown. I like sub plus consign to blank their crab and scam to beater. Honestly, that seems deranged to me. It's just let's. I don't know. Like consign does nothing unless you're scamming and subtlety, which is like never in the history of modern been a good play. I don't know. It feels like we could just fatal push the crabs and then play a normal game. Where are the ghosting accusations now? Wait, does extra bait trigger archive trap? Probably not. Yeah, that player. We shuffle, but they search, so we haven't searched our library, right? So we're gonna get untapped Watery Grave to play around archive trap. They know about my spell pierce though, but we're just holding it here. Why am I doing this in their instep? So that I have the mana to spell pierce. It's like if they archive trap, I get to use this mana now. Yeah, let's just we can let them get a little bit more mills and just edict end of turn or wand in response to like a fetch land. Can spell pierce a Tasha's potentially. They're probably thinking about which creature to sacrifice here. No, they drown my Sheoldred's Edict. Ah. Okay, so now I cannot get a crab off the battlefield. Can counter some crabs. I guess I could double Bowmaster. Okay, I guess we're going to want to be able to play one or counterspell with a 1-mana counterspell up here. Although maybe we wanted to like be able to play a bigger one next turn. We mill a Cling to Dust. Yeah, do I play a 1/1 or 2/2/1? I think I'm gonna wait. Maybe this is wrong. Surveil any cards at the top here. And then alright, I think we're gonna play the 1 as a 2/2 at the end of their turn if they do nothing. I can see Slewis kind of working for this kind of deck. I mean, you only have 12 cards to trigger it, which isn't the worst. I guess other Slither-Wisp too. Yeah, the fields make it pretty awkward as well. Roger with the 29 months. Hope you're doing well. Alright, I guess now we'll just play it as a 1/1 so we can hold up Snare for Drown. Although we can't spell pierce Atasha's anymore. Thanks again, Roger. I love playing decks like this. This is probably the most excited to play I've woken up in a while. Although I did again, I barely woke up today. I was almost had no sleep last night. So maybe the last card's another removal spell because they knew about the snare. So we're going to be down to 29 cards in our deck here. They keep a card on top, so holding up Counterspell may be important. Okay, nice. Now we can go Trespass and hold up Counterspell. Even though Trespasser, that's a sideboard card, we tap out for it. It is really cool that you just always... So it could be other stuff, although now their hand has 2 spells. Again, I will replace the audio interface eventually. At the moment, we just have to... I have to unplug it and plug it back in once a stream. That seems to solve our issues. Alright, get to flip the Trespasser. So just yeah, I appreciate y'all letting me know when it happens, so I could just minimize the quantity which this happens. It really doesn't matter very much what we target. I guess targeting Wan is best because I actually that's the only creature here that I have more copies of in my deck, but I just have one more copy. But I think you want to be mindful of surgical. So they are dead next turn, even with a crab chump block. They kept a card on top though, so but they would have used a removal spell already, right? They know I have Spell Pierce, so why would they cast Archive Trap here? I don't know. I just want to know what is very cool about Trespasser, I think. This card's very good against Boros specifically, and Boros is a very popular deck. It's good against other Flage decks. It's good against Prowess as well, I think. But well, this doesn't kill me, so no counter there. Don't want to lose to Tasha's. I guess if they play any other spell, no, they're still dead. I need to counter this. No, I don't need to counter this. I could play a bigger one as well, I guess. Looks like we're 2-0. If a spell piercer puts 20 in your yard for vision, that could be the thought, yeah. Am I playing to listen to today's challenge? I can't play a challenge today. I've been up like all week. I've been up all week. Esther's been sick. She's just like coughing all night, so I'm not getting any sleep. Don't really need to do this, but either way we win. They've got no cards in their hand. I guess we draw 1 down to 6, and they can make me draw 3 more with the Colosseum, but that's not enough. Raven Eagle, Flying Trespasser, those selected draw cards. I have not liked Raven Eagle very much so far. I have not felt like Raven Eagle has been to like draw your deck. You could traverse for it. I would definitely play that. Okay, we're up against Pygonti. He's been playing a lot of Jeskai lately. Well, last seen 4 days ago on Eldrazi. Well, his hand's not very good against Eldrazi. I think he'll just keep in the blind. Pi could be playing anything else. Thanks for the 45 stream streak. I think I saw a 45 streak yesterday. That's I think the most I've seen. All right, we'll look at a Lorwyn Eclipse preview. Costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest mana value among elementals you control. When this enters, if you cast it, return all non-elementals to its owner's hands. So realistically, this is going to cost at the cheapest 4 if you have a Solitude in play or like a Titania. Although this card goes really hard with Omnath. Like 5 mana with Omnath out is pretty nice. Good with Nissa too. You have a lot of mana with Nissa. Although it bounces your Nissa. Definitely gonna make the list. Dade with the 59 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Almost 5 years. Long time. Yeah, if it had Flash, you could evoke Solitude and then like Elder Deep Fiend it. Cost 2 with Cosmic Wave. Well, it's mana value, not power. So maybe there's something I don't understand. Okay, Pai's Boros. I think we're very unlikely to want to cast Consult. Hoping no Blood Moon, I guess. Sad not to have any of our million 2-drops here. I guess we have 2-drop, but we do have a lot of islands in the deck. We have five islands. Oh, sorry. I should have subtletied this. It's a little tilted. Again, we have 5 basic islands in the deck. At the very least, Blood Moon won't be that effective against us game 2, hopefully. Create a token that's a copy of a merfolk you control. Sorcery speed. Creatures gain lifelink. Target player draws a card. Tap creature, put a stun counter. Not the worst. The opponent did put the Ocelot Pride on the bottom here. Kind of blundered by tapping the swamp, honestly. I think we need to hope our opponent tries to flip the Ajani, but maybe it's just not that likely. Okay, also having another Pride. We'll concede. Kindred is cool. Yeah, I guess what Merfolk synergies would you have, though, with Kindred sorceries? Alright, we're going to bring in the Trespassers, we're going to bring in the Damnation, we're going to bring in the Explosives. I'm going to cut 2 Edicts, I think. Just not a big Edict fan against them. Cut the Logic Knot, cut Subtlety 4, Consult 4, Counterspell 4, and it's probably Spell Pierce 2. Could cut Cling 3. It's going to be pretty close to what we want our sideboard plan to be. Sorcery kind of mid. I agree. I agree the card is not amazing. It's an interesting tool. But yeah, it's like I guess you could reveal this card to Silvergill Adept. I'm just trying to think like what the Kindred Merfolk does for you. While it's on the stack, is Sylvoon hexproof? Not that that matters a lot, but it's because like it would matter a lot more if you could copy Sylvoon, right? Because it makes a copy. So like if you had 1 Merfolk, you put on the stack targeting Sylvoon. If you control 2 Merfolk, then your opponent couldn't respond by killing Sylvoon, but it's legendary, so that doesn't matter as much. Unsettled Mariner doesn't give spells, Ward 1, right? Okay, yeah, Wonderwine Hub Reveal, it's true. The Merfolk Goblin Ringleader can grab sorceries? Okay. I didn't know there was a Merfolk Goblin Ringleader. Is it 4? Is it just 4? Like, is it 4 mana, 2/2, reveal top 4, get that many Merfolk? It's very tough to mulligan against Boros. I think I'm going to keep this one, even though we're not super... I guess we have Spell Pierce for Blood Moon. But if they just don't have Guide of Souls, this hand's fine. It's a good card to have on top, too. What is the reason for no frogs? I have been really liking the draw go playstyle. It has felt really, really nice, and it also just with this higher land count in general, it's really felt what this deck wants to be doing. I do kind of feel like Pi could be a Mana Tithe gamer, and we also don't really care about second Ragavan very much, so let's just main phase. I guess also slightly better against the Raven Charm if that's their only turn 2. So opponent puts the voice on the top. I guess I'll draw step. So if I play around Blood Moon, am I playing around Blood Moon better by... I guess maybe I should have just fetched an island this last turn. But am I playing around Blood Moon better by getting Swamp or by getting Island? Because I have 5 islands in the deck. I'll need 1 Swamp. I think I'm playing around it better by getting Swamp, honestly. Alright, so we know they have Voice of Victory in their hand. I think they might play 2/2 drops, though. I think you need Island. I think it's very close. I guess what I should have done is I just should have played the Flooded Strand for an island last turn. But I have 5 islands in the deck. That's a lot of islands. And then I think just being able to cast my, black cards when I draw them is really important. Didn't we shuffle away voice? No, I draw stepped it, right? They surgical my Bowmaster end of turn. This is the wrong time to do this. Probably I could have just cast it. It's such a random time. Like it would have been upkeep, right? And they just play a voice into the explosives that they saw. The best was play strand for Island Field for some. Yeah, I agree, but we're already past that point, so we're just like 5 times more likely to draw an island. If we draw the island, we're just kind of in pretty solid shape. And potentially we have a good bit of time to do so. I guess I get punished for cracking the explosives when I did, huh? They didn't have voice in play when they surgical. They don't have voice in play when they surgical. Guess that's true. Yeah, is Tidal Courier illegal in Modern? I don't think it is. They flip over a Graveyard Trespasser, which also would have been a good reason for the swamp grab, but probably cooked here. We have so many basics. Feels bad to get got by Blood Moon twice. Again, I could have played around it better. I think I'm gonna concede. Let's just move on. Being a 1-2 instead of a 2-2 is weird also. Alright, we'll keep this on our Multi 6. They last seen 9 days ago playing Affinity. Second Field of Ruin sometimes is really good. I also just see if this list has 1 or 2 basics. Only 1. Anything to do with this 3 blue Convoke clone? I haven't seen that one. I haven't looked at any or many spoilers today. So it's just, a Convoke clone is pretty cool though. I remember what was the last set that had a bunch of Convoke cards? That set was such a disappointment. That set was such a disappointment. And so I'm pretty I'm trying not to get too excited about these Convoke cards because the Convoke cards just did not play well last time. Yeah, it might have been March of the Machine, just like the Meeting of Minds and the Convoke Demon. Like the Convoke cards, they were just so overcosted. So they lead on Mox Opal, then they play Explosives. Then they play a Bauble. Then they play an Emissary, looks like. So the last card's probably Kappa Cannoneer if they kept this. That would have been nice in this hand. I'll be right back. I think I need to take a tea now real quick. Esther's in a meeting. Let me just cling. Medium Minds is perfect class of not a mono card. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say is that there were a lot of cards that I got baited by a little bit when it came to the last cycle of Convoke. That I'm like, this card is like so close to being playable, but they just weren't. I guess my opponent's playing around my Field of Ruins pretty well by just not ever finding a land. So they're gonna cast Kappa Cannoneer, I guess, and then we're gonna to Logic Knot. And then I'm gonna go take Athena outside. No, she just wants to stare at me. She doesn't want to go outside. So this probably was their draw step for turn. I guess they could also still have a Kappa Cannoneer. I think it's pretty important to get this down, though. The thing is, they just could have a second Kappa. Interesting, Richie. When does new set come out? New set comes out in 13 days. Yeah, 13 days. All right, definitely got to try to tempo them here, or we're gonna try to get underneath them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I should be fatal pushing. Yeah, fatal push stops top deck Kappa Cannoneer. Upkeep because of rebuke. They could have rebuke here. So pre-release would be this weekend. I don't know. I don't usually play pre-releases because they drew Fiery Islet, which is a little bit awkward with my Field of Ruins, I guess. And they play another weapons. So let's kick a consult. No attacks is probably wrong. I guess they're worried about Wan. So we'll take Sheoldred's Edict, Fatal Push, so that we're not super soft to a Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah, I guess we don't care if they Kappa Cannoneer because we just then push Edict. And I think if they don't Kappa Cannoneer this turn, I would rather escape a Cling to Dust. So assuming they haven't updated their build, then they shouldn't have any more basics. Now, they can explosives and deal me 8 damage. And that's a lot. In fact, it's almost better to Cling to Dust to gain life this turn, but I'm gonna draw a card just because the counterspell is so valuable. Oh, interesting. So I guess now I'm kind of hopeful that they kill my subtlety, since like just any artifact next turn is gonna kill me. But they might like feel like they wanna kill my subtlety and play a longer game. We also might just be able to survive with the Cling to Dust. So they do go ahead and sack ammunition. Yes, I'm really happy they're killing the subtlety, so we're not just dead to one artifact, right? So they're gonna have 4, the next one will be 6. Yeah, not dead to one more, thankfully. They do get a bauble draw. Then they lose their Arcbound Ravager. Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess it makes sense for them to sack the munitions now. They have a little bit more control over it. Sure. Although this does mean they just can't cast a Kappa Cannoneer, right? Winning game 1 is obviously a big deal because we get to bring in a bunch of like explosives and stuff. Spell Pierce is not the worst. Doesn't counter their zeros though. So we'll see if they float mana. All right, so not going to be able to Spell Pierce this Preordain. I guess they were always going to float mana. Maybe fielding after did make more sense. Yeah, that's such a good draw. Okay, so we're going to be at... So this is 8 damage. The next is gonna make it 12. So I think I should just cling for life gain here. Yeah, just make it to where any 0-mana artifact isn't killing me. Why no frogs? I've been really liking the draw go control game plan that No Frogs offers you. And it's just like this higher mana count Wan Shi Tong deck. I think it really does feel like it wants to be playing. It wants to be playing more or No Frogs. All right, let's go ahead and draw a card here. Yeah, we can afford to. Or we'll be barely alive, but barely alive is still alive. Well, let's see if we draw a counterspell. Or I guess second spell pierce would work too. Like Frog just felt so awkward. Like blue black a bit awkward on the mana. Not that like blue is easier. Not that blue is not the most awkward either. Higher mana count. Not wanting to play very aggressively. Wanting to have all your options up on turn 2. I've just kind of liked no frogs, despite Frog obviously being a great card. So that resolves. I think it's just as impactful playing At instant speed is the lack of frogs, and Tomio's means all your creatures get valued with immediate removed. Yeah, exactly. It definitely was a difficult decision to make to cut all the frogs. I'd love to draw a wand at some point this game. So they are targeting me, and I am dead to another artifact, but I can cling to gain life. No heart for Kaito. I mean, definitely not in this deck. I typically think Kaito sucks though. I really think that card is a total scam that these Dimir players have been scammed into. I really think that card is not good. Um, Short answer, not a good card, in my opinion, in my experience. People keep going. It's so good against Esper Flash, and then the Esper Flash matchup is still really bad. I just don't really believe in it. The card, but it isn't like the worst ever either. So let this cling happen, or Emery happen, and then I think we need to be gaining life. So let's be mana efficient here. This just puts us out of top deck artifact range. A sack Emery to gain a life, maybe. Good play. Okay, well, should I have saved a Field of Ruin for that? Maybe. Like, denying the mana when I've got Spell Pierce is nice, too. Now it feels like we're going to lose to Urza Saga, I guess. Which ability are people thinking good in Kaito? I don't know. People just love dopey card draw spells, but... Okay, they can't... Okay, let's say they're just sacking. People love their dopey card draw spells. Would have been nice to draw a single copy of Wand in the top 28. At a glance, it feels like this folds to Boros. Is that true, and we're just making a choice, or is it play better? I think we're unfavored against Boros, but you definitely can win. Like, we have a really stacked sideboard against it. Bowmaster is good against it. We have a lot of main deck hate for Flage. We have a lot of main deck snares. Dimir in general has always been an archetype that's weak to Boros, and that's definitely still true here. But so we should be able to spell pierce this because they're going to want to make a construct instead. All right, game 2. Think 1-2 dress down between main and side could be solid deck. Maybe I'm not the biggest main deck dress down fan. It's definitely fine. It does have flash. You know, these Bowmasters are not as good as they used to. They're still fine. Not as good as they used to be. I think I'm going to cut the second cling. I'm going to cut Subtlety 4. Consult 4. Edicts can be pretty good against Kappa Cannoneer. I guess I might just cut like two Fatal Push 3 Edict. That looks like a pretty good split. And then 1 Snare. Here's that with the Pursuit Soul Trader. Is it more or less what we were testing? I had like I think I had Third Pursuit. I didn't have the Deadly Disputes in. I was splashing for Rumble instead. I do think Pursuit is interesting. I'll say that I'm not like off of I'm not off on the idea of playing Pursuit in this archetype. I like that it's kind of a payoff for your combo. But I'm not really sure. Like one thing that could be kind of interesting is like yeah, I think you could go down on like Sephiroth or Apprentice too. I was also like I think this is probably almost for sure one too many apprentices, but I don't know. It's the whole thing is very tough, and I just didn't figure it out last night. just gonna Spell Pierce that. I know I've got the explosives in my hand, but when you lead on Mux Opal, yeah, when you lead on Mux Opal, you're just so weak usually. What's the reason behind no Tamio? No Frog, I can understand, but Tamio is another question. I mean, you could play Tamio, you could play Frog. I know this is a little bit of a bold way to build the deck, but I just have really been enjoying this playstyle so far. I think I went third push on the draw. I've really been enjoying this playstyle of draw go on turn 1s and 2. It just feels so powerful and so consistent and so hard to play against. And I've really disliked having a creature in my hand that I feel like I need to play turn 1 or turn 2. So also, like, we're not playing Preordain, we're not playing cards that like flip Tamio super aggressively. Not that Tamio needs those cards, but I think we'll keep this. I like having Subtlety for Emissary, push for Emery. So again, that's just kind of the thinking. To some extent, like, this is an archetype that we've liked, with Wan being printed, and I feel like a big part of the reason why we've liked this build compared to other builds is that, Wan has been really a card that shined a lot in this like slower, more land count, Field of Ruin version of Affinity. I mean, this is going to be a Stone Rain since they only have one basic. We've been liking this deck, right? And so to me, it makes sense to kind of lean into the elements of this deck that we've been liking, and move away from the elements we haven't been liking, which, even though it feels weird to cut the Frog, I think it makes sense for the just evolution here. All right, I think I cannot Logic Knot this. I think I'll just Subtlety. Should we play around Moon this time? Well, we have the Logic Knot in hand. We're gonna probably get a basic here, although maybe we're going to Surveil end of turn instead. Maybe we should have Fatal Pushed the Emissary. Although I'm kind of okay saving the push for next turn. They do put it on top. Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised if they boarded in the Moon. Why don't we fetch push one? One bot doesn't seem that bad. Maybe you're right. Although the thing is, if we fetch push, then we don't have Logic Knot up. I guess we have Subtlety up for Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah. No, you're probably right. So I guess I could go upkeep Field, and then have Revolt for Fatal Push, and I get to shuffle away the Emissary. The problem is, like, they just might Kappa Cannoneer me. Now I won't have Revolt on the Fatal Push. So maybe they're gonna be -1 to mana. So they go Emissary, I feel, but then they get another mana. Tough here. My instinct is telling me to field away the Emissary. I might be wrong. I 100% get the appeal of leaning into Flashback with 1. I guess I'm saying the difference between 1 mana threat and 2 is huge to be able to keep up with their action. I agree. I agree. I do think it's definitely close. But I'm just saying I've been liking this so far. Thoughts on Fairy Mastermind. I think the card's unplayable in Modern. It's just too low power level, in my opinion. Yeah, I think I just really messed up, honestly, by Subtletying the Emissary the first time. So now we need to draw an Edict or a Damnation really soon, because these explosives are also going to kill me pretty fast. I just dead. Taking 8, and then they have another 8, so I guess not quite dead. Don't think we're supposed to try to Logic Knot the Claw. So it's kind of 4 mana gain 2 life. Draw a card. 4 mana gain 2 life, draw a card. We left in all our edicts for situations like this. Got 3 of them. Dang, Galvanic Blast is crazy here. Okay. Alright, I think that game was winnable, unfortunately. can do at least one on the board. I chose Swamp because we had Fatal Push in hand, I think, right? Like we didn't when we Field of Ruin to shuffle away the Emissary, we didn't have Logic Knot up anyway, so thought we might as well hold up the push that was in our hand, right? Okay, on the mull or on the draw for game or match 5 here, gonna have to mulligan our double 1/5 lander, probably. I think we will. But push without revolt basically doesn't do anything on turn. Yeah, but you also don't have Logic Knot up this turn. I don't really understand, honestly, the what we're even talking about. Like push might do something. Probably not, I agree. Logic Knot definitely didn't do anything. We didn't have the mana for it. I think tapping out the Field of Ruin when they had a full grip without actually lowering their mana count was where the game went wrong. Yeah, maybe the problem is like do you Logic Knot the Emissary instead of Field of Ruining it away? That it's like it's possible that the Field of Ruin stopped them from being able to cast the Kappa Cannoneer, and the Logic Knot would be able to get them next turn. I think against an opponent who's gonna take who's like clearly here and is gonna take like 30 seconds to like pass the turn with just a fetch land and play, I probably just want the Hand Hider up, honestly. So this is Storm or Prowess, I guess. Well, Storm has been mostly Boros lately, and they're not going to get Steam Vents here, so seems like it's Prowess. They plot the show off. Have I tried Dimir, Ridley, or Tamio show with the idea of flipping Tamio on the draw with the draw too? Well, I mean that's like you get to flip Tamio with Riddler when your hand is empty. So it's like it's not something you can do very aggressively. It seems like not a big part of your deck's game plan. That also, if you play Quantum Riddler in Dimir, your Quantum Riddlers are worse than every other Quantum Riddler deck. You know, it's just you have no synergy with it really. Like consigning, it's not very powerful, and so like I usually just don't love playing a worse version of a card that everyone else gets to play. For whatever that's worth. Frog is synergy with Riddler. Frog is synergy with Riddler too, but it's like I think your Riddlers are still on average worse than they are in Jeskai and Gorios, you know. That's true though. Udoc with the 56 months. Thank you. Welcome back. They got 3 cards in their hand here. Seems like Storm Chaser's talent's getting more and more popular in Prowess. Will I use the new Spell Snare when Lorwyn drops? Probably not. I'm pretty partial to the old art, I guess. Might be dead to a Slickshot show off. We'll see. Yeah, I do think the Boomerang Basics is usually a part of these builds. Second Steel Cutter is tough. So they've got 1 card in their hand left. Seems like it might just be a land. I'm going to double block the Monk. I think we probably can't beat a super good spell here. Or a spell here, maybe. Hand Hider. I don't know. My opponent showed up. Let me know what y'all think about this. If I should have the Hand Hider up here. My opponent showed up. They played a land, a fetch land. They passed to like their main phase, took 10 seconds. They passed to their combat took 10 seconds. They passed to like their instep, took like 10 seconds. They're clearly here. It took them like 20, 30 seconds to just play a fetch land and pass the turn when they had no 1-drop in their hand. Should I be putting the Hand Hider up when that happens, or should I not? To me, it just feels like there's a relatively high chance of shenanigans. Wait, how do they have Steel Cutter and Lightning Bolt? How did they not play either of these cards last turn? I guess they had the Steel Cutter and they wanted to get the second spell. Are they like double queued? Well, so even if they're double queued, like I don't know how you're here and you you're here and you're pressing like okay on the land. Like you would just F6, or you would at least you wouldn't like click through one. You wouldn't click okay on one of your monitors and then go to your other monitor to click to like just you would click through your whole turn. I'm gonna block the show off, but playing the one here might like mind trick them here. And again, obviously nothing might be happening, but it just kind of feels like this is a spot to be holding up the hand hider to me. So probably gonna lose game one. We'll see. Personally, I don't think it's strong evidence. I agree it's not strong evidence, and like it's never. I'm never like for sure saying someone's ghosting, or almost never. But I think you might as like is this a point where you hold up the hand hider just to protect the integrity of the game, or do you not care? I genuinely don't know. I don't think I can get out of this. I guess I'll show the hand. I can counter. Probably have to counterspell the iteration. I can gain 3 off the Cling to Dust, but then I die. So I guess I'm gonna have to hope they don't find anything off the iteration, which is very unlikely. Maybe Logicus Flaw, but this feels like an all or nothing sort of thing. Either all league games are worth protecting or none are. I don't know. I just feel like I've enjoyed the system of when something suspicious like this happens, just throw it up for a second. It's definitely never going to be a perfect system. All right. Go to game 2. So I want the Trespassers. I probably want some amount of explosives. I haven't really liked Subtlety very much against them. I think I could play 1, though. Not going to be playing the Disputes. The counter magic's so important against the Steel Cutters. I think I'll play 1 less Bowmaster. Bowmaster can be good against DRC. They do have like preordains and stuff. It's not amazing against them. Matchup seems tough unless you have favorable interactions turn 1 and 2. I agree, but we have 5 1-mana ways to counter the Steel Cutter, which is nice. Yeah, this is definitely the kind of deck where like hand hider matters so much more too. All right, give me my 7 on the play. Is Dispute better than Snare? Snare is like one of the most important cards in this matchup because you must counter Corey Steelcutter. It is just like Corey Steelcutter is unbelievably good in this matchup. It's just so important to counter. No Lava Dart's nice. This sequence is my problem with Wan. You're talking about the must counter of Corey. Now we're incentivized to tap out for the play. Yeah, I agree. I was thinking this too. But they didn't have it. I don't know. All right, next up, Wooded Foothills. So we're probably going to be crushing game 2 at this point. Fielding to play around bolts seems okay. I think I'm, with what's in my hand, I'm not going to. Like maybe the extra card or 2 is worth it. They slam Corey Bob or so much trouble. Yeah, I think my hand could play through it is the thing, but I agree. I agree. All right, so you have a bolt for the 1, so only a 3 for 1 on that guy. Wait, they have a basic island? I've never seen Basic Island, or I can't remember ever seeing Basic Island in Prowess. Maybe that's just because they're playing the talent. Okay, when this creature enters, choose up to 1 other creature until end of turn. That creature has base power 4 toughness against all creature types. Tricky fairy. Like, yeah, it's a wizard. I don't know. If you're playing fairies, you might play this card. Oh, they have Murktide. I'd love if they. Oh, they have Blood Moon. Okay, I have the basic swamp in my hand. I guess I also have the Field of Ruin in play. I guess this Blood Moon is or the island is also maybe a tell that of Blood Moon, right? It seemed like they were trying to cast Murktide though, and then they played the Moon. That card's not playable. I don't know. You know, like your opponent flages, you save your thing from flage, you have another creature in play. It seems okay. I think like if you were playing fairies, you would. There's the pool of fairies is so there's literally one modern playable fairy, Spell Stutter Sprite. End of list. You might also include this card in some meta games. You know, very very fringe, obviously, but it's just it's not it's you don't have a lot of options. I would love for fairies to get some really good modern cards though. Whenever you cast a spell during your opponent's turn, surveil 2. Surveil 2 is hard to evaluate. There's not I like you don't get to surveil 2 very often in modern. I have a I'm just gonna pass or untap here. Probably they'll probably board out the moon for game 3. We'll see. And yeah, I you know I've surveilled 2 very few times in my life. You know, I'll say that, you know, people are oftentimes kind of obsessed with figuring out how much card advantage a surveil is worth or a scry is worth, but it's, you know, it's just it's almost never a card unless you're putting something in the yard for value. But Kaito mainly, yeah, yeah. I haven't played a lot with Kaito. I've played more with Kaito in standard than I have in modern. I think I'm just gonna make them use a spell here. Okay. Not even flashing back the lava dart. Oh, sorry, I should have done the second main phase. Do you believe there's a secret Stranger Things episode coming out? I saw that that was a theory that there's a secret ninth episode of Stranger Things. I haven't watched any of the new season. If you remember, my take was that there's kind of no way it can be good after all of this time. It really seemed like the season was kind of doomed to fail. I've seen a lot of bad reviews. If you maybe it's better than what the people are saying, but I did decide to just not watch it since I don't even like remember like what's going on. I remember so few characters' names. Maybe I could have given it more of a chance. I think I'm gonna take Consult Island so I can like double spell next turn. Really enjoyed it. That's good. If you enjoyed it, I'm not trying to take away from that, but I think I'll probably watch it eventually, but I didn't decide to watch it during the release. I've also just been very into the basketball. Yeah, I've been watching the new season of Fallout 2 and or yeah, Fallout season 2. Did episode 4 come out? I've seen the first 3. And then me and Esther also watched all of the Mighty Nine season 1. That was really good. Okay, so the boomerang basics my orc. Honestly, like only having 1 blue is so tough for them with the Storm Chaser's talent. Should I go to Mighty Nine? I liked Mighty Nine a lot as someone who watched. I watched a good bit of the campaign when it was airing. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched a pretty good amount of it, and that was the only one of their campaigns I watched any of. But I probably watched like 20 or 30 episodes, and then I missed like 4, and it was just too much to catch back up on. Was my experience watching Critical Role. But I did really like it, and then it was very fun to watch. I think you would probably like it. Okay, fun way to end the game. I think you would probably like it if you like fantasy stuff in general. Esther liked that and their other show a lot as someone, and she's never engaged with it otherwise. You know, the explosives I guess are better because they're playing Storm Chaser's talent, so you might be able to clean up Steel Cutter token and Storm Chaser's token. Yeah, let me cut the 4th wand on the draw for the second explosives. What about Andor? Still haven't watched Andor. I've pitched it to Esther a couple times to watch, but I at the moment I'm not watching anything solo. So if Esther is not super interested, then it gets pushed on the back burner. I've been doing a lot more like like hiking and like jogging and some like just playing basketball on my hoop outside. I've been trying to work myself up to like pick up basketball, and so like a lot of my exercise that I would normally like watch a show on while I exercise, I haven't been doing. Also, Android like it's kind of hard to watch like a 45-minute show because usually I do like 40 minutes, 35 minutes on like incline treadmill or bike, and so that it just becomes kind of an awkward length. Actually, I should let the surveil go, but I'll just do this now. I started playing some rec b-ball maybe 2 years ago. One of the best decisions made. Yeah, I really want to. I really want to, but I want to make sure I'm not gonna embarrass myself out there. So they kept the Blood Moons in. I think I'm just gonna main phase Bowmaster this DRC. They have mutagenic growth. They have mutagenic growth, and it's still a 2-for-1. Obviously a little scary if they have second Steel Cutter, but I think once you've countered the first Steel Cutter, you just can't be that scared of the second. Cracking this bauble is pretty risky against second Bowmaster, I guess. This deck seems like Snapcaster would be good. I know to take out. Honestly, Snapcaster I think is only considerable if you're playing Flame of Anor. Right, I don't currently have the other Bowmaster in my hand, but if we draw it, we'll play it. Don't think I care that much about this. So I'm taking 5 down to 7. They've got 3 cards in their hand. Really doubt they have another land. So we're gonna go down to 6. I'm doing well, Port. I hope you're doing well too. Not so well this game. So far, at least. So they find their third land, so their hand has 3 spells. They boomerang basics my orc. Do I counterspell that? You think yes. Yeah, Affinity being good again, I'm also pretty excited about. I think we double block. Okay, so I have Cling to Dust, and I can Cling to Dust for life to go to 1 if they have nothing else. Which I think is correct. If they have another 1 mana spell, we lose. Dang. Okay. Losed. So 2-3 this league. I do think that these games are pretty close, and some of them might have been winnable. Let's do one more. Ah, damn. Just also just did find a push or a 1 or an edict and several cards there. Well, I guess 1 wouldn't have done it with all the bolts and the darts there, huh? I find Affinity so annoying. It's one of the fastest decks in the format, and it grinds super.